Donald Trump, throughout his entire career in politics, has been manipulated by our adversaries to do what they want. I mean, it reminds me back in 2017 in the Oval Office, Donald Trump shared classified information with Russian officials. This was reported on by the Washington Post. And that 2018, I think it was 2018 or maybe 2019 meeting he had in Helsinki, where he sided with Putin over American intelligence regarding their interference in the election. And there were Republican senators who were baffled by that because, like, why is an American siding with Putin? And just throughout, I can give you so many other examples. But, you know, Putin was in the KGB. He's known as a master manipulator. And Donald Trump is going into that meeting either alone or with people who have no foreign policy experience. So I'm not hopeful for that meeting with Putin on Friday.
What did you think of Tulsi exposing RussiaGate, I guess, saying that Obama planned that and that Trump actually wasn't talking with Russia? Did you see that?
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I mean, it's all a distraction from the Epstein files. The awful thing about what Tulsi Gabbard has done is she's just completely she's framed the story incorrectly. She's misrepresented, strawmanned the Democratic position, which is the claim has never been that Donald Trump like spoke with Putin on the phone and was like, "Hey, I need you to switch ballots" or anything like that. The claim was, and still is, via the intelligence community, the FBI, the DOJ, a bipartisan group of senators, which, by the way, Marco Rubio, his current Secretary of State, was on. They conducted this investigation. They all came to the conclusion that Russia interfered in the election via like social media, via hacking the DNC and releasing emails connected to Clinton, via even faking emails, making it seem that like Hillary Clinton approved a plan to tie Trump to Putin. It just came out that those emails were fake and everybody thought they were real. Yeah. So no, it's just it's so obvious that that story, that misframing of what the intelligence community has been claiming is to distract away from the Epstein files, and I would argue that it really badly failed. I think people are still focused on Epstein.
I'll be honest, if they don't release some sort of info on that, I don't think they'll win 28.
Really?
I think it's that bad, dude.
Really?
People on the right really care.
I mean, you talk to people, I think, on the right in the content creation space, certainly more than I do. Is that the vibe that you're getting?
Yeah. I'd say half of them are pissed, dude.
Wow.
Like, they're like really, because I was just at Charlie Kirk's event and I interviewed 30 people. I would say about half of them are really upset that they're not being released.
Are these content creators or just like
content creators?
Wow,
yeah.
15 of them are angry. Yeah, dude, I think, and you're seeing it in the numbers as well. I think his approval rating has taken a big hit, not from the Democrats still hate him.
Yeah.
But the Republicans are, you know, I think rightly questioning why this guy is being so cagey about this. Why is he not being transparent whatsoever about these documents? What is he hiding? Why they redact his name? It's just like a lot of questions. And I'd say before this whole thing with Epstein, I was never even big on this story. Yeah. I was just, you know, okay, the guy did awful things. He killed himself. Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison. I mean, if there were more to this story, I think the DOJ or the FBI would have told us. But now with the way that Donald Trump is handling this, and the way that more documents have become accessible because Ghislaine Maxwell's trial has finished,
right?
It's really weird. And I think you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to, you know, be there at that position.
And that's the infuriating part of people, is because he spoke a big game beforehand. He's like, I'm going to release this. I'm going to stop all these wars. And I think if he didn't say any of that, he could have done whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he didn't say any of that, he could just not focus on the Epstein story whatsoever. There'd be like a small faction on the internet asking him to do it. But for the most part, it wouldn't be mainstream political discourse. He himself put that out there. He was the one that in Fox News interviews said, "Oh yeah, totally. I'm going to declassify everything. I want you guys to see everything."
Yep.
And then completely flips. And you're right on the wars. War has only, in my view, gotten worse under Donald Trump. I mean, there's no end in sight in the Middle East. He said he'd end Ukraine in 24 hours. We're now on day 175 of his presidency. There is no conclusion. And he's still obviously doing everything he did in the Middle East from beforehand, drone strikes and whatnot. So no, I think he's back down on virtually every major promise he made.
It's pretty nuts. And meanwhile he's battling Newsom on Twitter.
Dude, I love Gavin Newsom. I know that's like a hot take. I think a lot of conservatives, right-leaning people don't, but I love the way that Newsom's just giving him the same energy back. Have you seen on the past couple of days, he's like tweeting like Trump now?
Yeah, he filed something, right?
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. No, I think Gavin Newsom, with everything he's doing to combat Trump, is, I would argue, one of the front runners for Democrats.
Yeah, I've never seen someone stand up the way he has. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are very few Democrats doing what he's doing, which is surprising and disappointing. You would think that a lot of Democrats would view this moment as a time to really stand up, and like, even if you want to do it from a personal brand standpoint, you know, increase your political capital. But a lot of them aren't doing it, or at least they're not doing it in a way that's resonating with people. And
they're scared, I think, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are scared. Which is kind of terrifying, in America. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, you shouldn't be nervous to stand up to the president of the United States. And I think, people who watch your show, you and whatnot, are probably disagree with Biden, but I don't think that anybody was nervous about criticizing Biden during his presidency.
I'll say on the vaccine stuff, yes.
The vaccine stuff.
And the what was the other thing that was it J6 you couldn't talk about without getting banned or something?
Yeah, I mean maybe that, but that's a social media platform thing.
Right.
I don't think that there was nothing the Biden administration did to combat or attack people for criticizing vaccines or talking about January 6th. This was like a platform thing. I'm also not super familiar with.
I think there was a leak that they called Facebook or something and said start censoring certain posts.
Oh yeah, so that is that's something that the government actually does quite often. It's not like a demand, it's more of a request. So
really?
Even during the Trump administration the first time, they reached out to social media companies a number of times and said, "Hey, this XY piece of information about COVID or whatever it might be, we believe is harmful. Just putting it on your radar."
Okay.
And Facebook or whatever platform it is, they can delete it if they want, but there's no pressure from the government. Like the government can't force them to do that.
Interesting.
Right?
So it's more like a guidance.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't personally, I think it's perfectly fine to disagree with me, but I don't have a problem with that. If this board of experts at the CDC or whatever it is and saying, hey, this misinformation is really hampering our effort to save lives, I have no problem with the government reaching out and saying, hey, Facebook, Instagram, we just want to let you know that we have intel or we've gathered something that indicates that a lot of this misinformation is coming from your platform. I have no problem with them saying, do you want to, tackle this in some way? But I know some people do. They think it's government overreach, and I think it's fair to disagree on that.
So you don't think it's overreach if they're kind of guiding them, but if they actually do it themselves, then I would consider that overreach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with guidance. I understand that, especially as digital and the digital space grows, there's this very fine line between, what's the public sphere and what's not.
Yeah.
And so as social media grows, I think it's becoming more of the town square. So I understand that there's the very fine line, but I just can't help but think how much misinformation killed people during COVID. For example, that, people believe that the vaccine was going to kill them or the vaccine is going to give them a terrible side effect. They're going to grow a third arm or something like that. It hurts me as an American, somebody that cares about people, to think that, so many people could have been saved if they, didn't listen to their crazy uncle on Facebook or something,
Speaking of vaccines, you saw what RFK just did?
Yeah, the canceling of the contracts for mRNA.
$500 million contract.
That really infuriated me.
Really?
Yeah, because mRNA vaccines are the next major medical breakthrough. I mean, they're already a tremendous medical breakthrough, but they can do so much, and it's such a fascinating thing when you dig into it. mRNA vaccines essentially make your body the factory to fight viruses, and so just a remarkable development in medicine, and a lot of scientists were hoping to use the mRNA technology to tackle things like pancreatic cancer, melanoma, lung cancer, and there's a lot of promising research, and then just like that research is halted, at least for now, and maybe done forever, depending on, what happens in the future, what happens in 2028. So I don't know, I just hope that MAGA understands that they get sick too. They're not immortal.
Yeah.
And so if they or a loved one gets pancreatic cancer, I'm sure that they would want the next best thing in medicine. And now, our developments there have been damaged.
Yeah, I'd love to see that press conference and see where he was coming from and why he canceled it.
Isn't it fucking funny that RFK Jr. is the guy lecturing us on health?
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.